Hi guys, welcome back to Just Talking, where I talk at you and you sometimes listen. So today we're doing a history video of Valhalla, which is a dark ride located in the northwest coast of England in Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And I'm going to do things about in the context of Norse mythology, its construction, opening, refurbishments, and some other little bits here and there. And I do believe this is actually my best history of video, so make sure to watch till the end. And if you do enjoy yourself, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. And let's get into the construction and opening. So before it was actually announced its theme and name, it was named Project 2000 Ride the Adventure, and here's a little store that actually remained in the front of the station for quite a while after. And Valhalla opened in 2000, 9 years after the funhouse on the same lot burned down in 1991. And of course, during the construction of the ride, the bar, Loki's bar, was actually constructed to go along with the Valhalla Norse mythology theme. So the ride would cost £15 million and was manufactured as a water-based dark ride by the manufacturing company Intamin of Liechtenstein. I'm not too sure if that's how you pronounce it, but their primary language is German. And the ride opened featuring 16 scenes by Jane Goldman and her husband Jonathan Ross, and of course alongside that Hagar the Horrible from the American comic strip would appear. I'm not too sure of the actor who actually played Hagar in the opening ceremony, but you can probably find that online. And of course the comic strip did actually get quite a lot of attention around this time after it started in around the 70s. So Regia Anglorum provided Viking actors in a boat named the Black Tern to appear in front of the ride, and the boat would actually appear in front of the ride for a number of years, and I'm not too sure when they actually took that down. It might have been in its first refurbishment, which I'll get onto in a minute. And of course this company does provide reenactments of historical events, primarily around the Viking and Anglo-Saxon range. So they do actually have a pretty good degree of historical accuracy, and that was just to create some hype around the opening of the ride. And it, upon opening, won many themed ride awards, and it did also earn a theme award in 2015, 2018 and 2019 as the best themed water ride. So its first refurbishment happened in 2011, and the ride went into refurbishment to change the inside and the facade to reduce some costs. Of course, the facade was changed completely, and it removed the partially rock structure for a new faux rock one. Of course, the original rock structure was a little bit more grey and looked more similar to jungle rock than the sort of sandstone pale one that is seen now. And the shop was removed and a new exit was placed, because I'm not too sure whether or not the exit came through the shop. I believe it did, but now you enter from here and you exit from somewhere around here. And of course now it's in a new refurbishment, so we don't know where it's gonna take place for that. So in the refurb, the waterfall was also restored after some of the water effects weren't working and they had to shut the waterfall off for some days, partially due to costs and partially because it didn't work entirely. And the Tesla coil produced lightning room was also changed to have two Viking skeletons instead, a Valhalla sign and laser effects, but there are still the lightning sounds and thunder in that room. But of course, with the refurbishment, you wouldn't really be able to experience that anymore. So the sound system was also changed to make it better throughout the ride. Of course, it sounded a little faded in some parts. Of course, some of those were for effect and they stayed the same, but some of them did get botchy, and that did also similarly happen towards the end of the 2019 season where it closed for its new refurb. So now it actually reaches £147,000 per month in peak season to operate, and that includes all of the fire effects, the water effects, and a lot more, including things with the animatronics as well. Also, the skull was enlarged and disguised in the rock as well. Of course, the original one was slightly taller and skinnier, and this is sort of looking as if it's coming out of the rocks or carved into them. So that, I think, was a great design change, because I thought a little bit the skeleton skull that was previously on the facade didn't look very inconspicuous, and it looked a bit more like branding than a theme. So for the current refurbishment, the ride closed in 2019 to be refurbished during the 2020 season, which would be its 20th year of operation, and that would reopen in 2021, although due to the pandemic it was delayed to 2022 and is still set to open there, saying that the gods are still imagining the ride. So the Pleasure Beach has confirmed the following things about the refurbishment, or at least hinted to. Fire effects will be returning with more reliability due to popular demand, so there's no issue with the removal of the fire effects and incredible theming. You will still get wet on the ride, and the people who hosted the TikTok live joked that you will still get soaked. There have been theming changes and updates, whether that's with the animatronics or, with some of the different scenes, they might change the look of that, and we just do not know. There may be a surprise with the layout and or the theming. They have said that there's probably going to be a layout change, as in they've definitely retracked some of the ride, and I'm not too sure which part they're specifically referring to, but I don't believe it's the turntable section because there hasn't been any sightings of any construction workers in that area, and the netting is still up there and you can still see where that would take place. So there will be a new audio experience, possibly including the removal of the hot ice theme. They did hint to getting a new theme for the ride and removing some of the previous ones which were repurposed from past shows at the park. And here is what Valhalla means in Norse mythology. So Valhalla actually means Hall of the Slain and is a hall in Asgard, which is a sort of god-like location where most of the gods will be, as the tellings of Norse mythology go, and it is ruled by Odin, who is king of the Norse gods, and he has relations to both healing and death. And the people are chosen by Odin himself, and these are half of the Viking warriors in battle that die will be sent to Valhalla, and the other half will go to Folkvangr with Freya, who is a female goddess, and this location is more like a field and an orchard. So they are carried to Valhalla by Valkyries after they have been chosen, which are to die and be brought to Valhalla. Half are really chosen to die and the other half are chosen to live, but some of them will also be the other half will mainly be chosen out of all the dead warriors to go to Folkvangr. The warriors will then join Odin to help in the events of Ragnarok, which is a world-cleansing event featuring battles and natural disasters, in which at the end the world will be flooded and a new one will emerge, and it's a more holy and clean version of the world that follows the ideas of a peaceful planet to the Norse gods. So many animals do actually live in Valhalla according to the myths, but most eat the foliage high in Valhalla, and you'll mainly see deer and goat, but of course in the ride Valhalla you do see a lot of wolves, but there aren't too many tellings of wolves in Valhalla. It tends to be more, high mountain goats and forested deers, so I'm not too sure how the wolves side of things go in mythology too much. So here are some other things to note about Valhalla. So in May 2004, there was a fire which damaged the Grand National Station. It was due to an electrical fault in the wiring of the Grand National Station. And Valhalla's water, which they have a lot of in the ride, was actually used to put most of it out. Of course, that's because the fire did actually spread pretty far and damage parts of Alice in Wonderland. And of course, they needed to put it out with quite a lot of water, and that was the main source of all the water that the firefighters used. And Valhalla is also said to take up a third of the Pleasure Beach energy requirements, which is quite a lot, so I can understand why they'd want to refurbish it for more reasons than just to spice it up and modernise the ride a little bit, to bring in more riders, especially given it's a water ride and the UK is pretty cold. And of course, they would definitely need to cut costs for the £147,000 per month to operate cost. I would definitely think that in the new one they'll add some sort of digital fire effects like we've seen in the river caves, and just change things up so that they're more reliable and maybe don't use as much gas, and actual fire lighting materials, and use a sort of faux fire. The theme does actually come from the show Hot Ice Rhythmos, which was from the park in the year 2000. Of course, after that you had Hot Ice Euphorian and also just the usual Hot Ice and Hot Ice Utopia. And it's called The Song of the Elders. You can of course find this on YouTube wherever you search up Valhalla theme or Song of the Elders, and it will definitely come up so you can have a listen to that. And it is a pretty great and sort of brave theme, and it's very loud, and it's a really great theme for the ride, and it suits it in my opinion. But of course that will change with the refurbishment. And in the cold room, temperatures do reach -20 degrees in the longboat scene where you go down the drop. I believe this is actually this one here. You briefly see a lot of longboats are on fire, whether that's to symbolise a battle where the longboats are on fire, or a typical like Viking death ceremony where they would send out their longboat, or just a random longboat with the body on it, and then they would burn it as it sailed out to sea. So then they could go to Valhalla, or whichever resting place they would go to. Of course, those temperatures do reach 40 degrees, which is pretty hot, but of course you do get dampened by a lot of water, so there's no real issue with the temperature in there. So yeah, that's really it for this history video, and I'm really grateful for you watching this, and I hope you have watched to the end. And if you have, remember, like, comment, subscribe, give me any feedback. I'm really grateful for some of the support I've been getting on my past videos. If you have any questions about any of the content in this video, make sure to leave them down below as well. And yeah, this was a really fun video to make. I learned a lot of things about Norse mythology, and I really do hope that this taught you some things and had a nice bit of educational content there as well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, this is Just Talking. Bye bye.